ladies and gentlemen, spring is back, and with it, Will Rogers and his alarm clock, all the way from Hollywood, California, brought to you by the makers of that good Gulf gasoline. With Will Rogers tonight are our Gulf headliners, Frank Tour's Orchestra and Miss Helen Gleason of the Metropolitan Opera Company. But just a minute before we begin tonight's show. As I said, spring is back, and it's time for every motorist to think about that worn winter oil in his crankcase. You know, winter oil takes punishment. And when it gets full of dust, sand, carbon, it means that your motor is going to take punishment, too. Well, now, here's an easy way to find out the truth. Drive into your nearest Gulf gasoline station. Ask the dealer to give you the famous Gulf screen oil test. He'll take one drop out of your crankcase, put it on the filter paper of the tester drop, and you can see for yourself whether the oil needs changing. You do the looking and you make the decision, new oil or old oil. But don't take any chances. Ask your Gulf dealer for one of those interesting cards that show actual specimens of the harsh abrasives that may be in your crankcase right now. Then ask about the small cost of having the crankcase flushed with crankcase cleaning oil. It takes only a few minutes. It will thoroughly cleanse your crankcase, and you'll avoid putting fresh, clean oil in a dirty crankcase. And while you're there, don't forget that you can give your car added pep and running smoothness by filling your tank with that good Gulf gasoline. 40,000 service stations are ready to serve you. Well, now, Will Rogers is waiting for us in California, and here's Frank Tour's Orchestra with a tune that lifts the curtain. All right, Frank. Has just played Zing Went the Strings of My Heart from Thumbs Up. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is the lovely Miss Helen Gleason, whose first song is You Are Free from Apple Blossom.
Through trees,
Los Angeles, California for Will Rogers and his famous alarm clock.
How you covered it, huh? Well, here we are. We're right back out in California, the old orange juice belt. The old Sunshine State. Of course, it didn't show up today. We ain't had any sunshine today. It rained instead. But it's fine. I've been riding today. Been riding way off round up in the hills, back to the Santa Monica Mountains, riding up in there. And it's running on the kind of peculiar thing. I prowling around up on the trails back in the hills there. And I saw about, I think I saw about 4 deer. And, but about 5 Republicans showed up. Now that's an omen that don't look so good. Yeah, there's the Republicans. Now, in the old days, I'd ride through there. A few months ago, I could rode through those hills, and I wouldn't see them at all. I'd see more deer. But these Republicans are coming out of the brush now, and you'd be surprised at the amount of them that's showing up, you know. And you know, in the old days, they wouldn't cuss Roosevelt. I mean, they wouldn't cuss directly at him. They would kind of, like billiards, they would bank off of Tugwell to Moley. You know, they would shoot at poor little Tugwell, and then go off to Moley, then off with the brain trust, then down to Roosevelt. You know, maybe 3 cushioning, you know what I mean? Now, oh boy, they got all the nerve in the world. They're going direct now, you know what I mean? They're just shooting direct at him without any... Well, you know, I figured out it's peculiar. It's a peculiar state of affairs that exists, and everybody that is doing better than there was 3 or 4 years ago, or making more money, has got in for the president. But they don't seem to realize they're doing better on the money that he's spending. You see what I mean? Doing better on his money. Now, we all know that the government is spending all this money, and it's not a good state of affairs to exist. The country is in bad shape when there ain't nobody spending any money but the government. But now, what you going to do about it? Of course, one remedy would be for the people that have money for them to start spending it instead of the government. But that seems just about as unpopular as the Roosevelt idea. In fact, it's worse. Well, if we sit out and passed a bill tomorrow and said the government can't keep on spending this money. But for government to exist, somebody has got to spend money. So from this day on, from this day and date, the government's going to stop spending money and make it compulsory that the people do the spending. Boy, what a howl would go up from that, you know. They couldn't make that law stick. People would say, no, we saved it, and we have worked and we've made it, and we got the right to do as we please with it. So that little idea's out. People ain't going to spend. That's out. So what other idea we got? We got to keep on working with ideas here. Well, if the government is throwing this money away, the only thing I see for the ones that are throwing... for the ones that they are throwing it to, outside of those that are absolutely in need of it, you know, well, the only thing I see is have them refuse it. You know what I mean? If you don't believe in what Roosevelt is doing with this money, why refuse it? It becomes, just say, no, it's government money and it's tainted, and I don't believe in the government. And I don't believe in the government spending all this money, and hence I don't take any part of it. And you say, no, you have paid this out. Now, for instance, take me, for instance. I'd say, no, the government paid this out for the people to eat, and here they are coming to see my pictures with it. I don't agree with that at all, you know. Now, you can imagine me saying that, you know what I mean, but if I was that, it would be the way to look at it, you know. I ought to refuse to accept the money. It's government money. I don't believe in the government spending this money, so I'm not going to take it. Here's a man that maybe wants to pay his loan at the bank. Well, maybe the RFC loaned him the money. You know, they're doing that a lot. And they get the money from the government, and they go to pay the bank. And the bank says, I don't believe in the bank. Naturally, all the banks say, I don't believe in the government spending all this money. But when the man comes to pay his loan with government money, they don't say, no, I can't take it. I'll just carry you myself. Boy, what a laugh that was. Yeah. Now, of course, it's going to cost the taxpayers a lot of money to loan this fella the money to pay off his loan to the bank. It's going to do that, but nevertheless, they kick on that, but they don't refuse to take it. They ought to say, well, no, I ain't going to take it. I made the loan, and it was me that made it, and I should be the one to stand by. But you haven't heard that, have you? I haven't done it, maybe. Well, anyhow, there's not a person in America that received a dollar, no matter where it come from, that received a single dollar, and no matter where it come from, that it hasn't grabbed it, without asking any questions about it or not. It might have been paid out for relief for a starving child, but if it reached us, we was the starving child. It make any difference. So the only thing I see for the fella that don't believe in all this spending is to not participate in receiving any of it. I can't very well legitimately criticize a fellow for spending money if I receive some of it without any criticism in the receipt of it, I mean, if I don't believe it's so, I'll at least make a little attempt to say that it ain't right when I grab off some of it. So this $5 billion that they're starting in to spend, we all know that that's too much money. It's too much money to take out and throw away or give away or whatever to do with it. We know that. We all know that. But until we refuse to take some of it and it comes our way, we ain't got much right to holler. Now, that brings us down to taxes. You know what I mean? That brings us down to taxes. And, boy, when you bring us down to taxes, you're going to hear a howl like a pet coon. Brings us down that. This money coming from all the government is thrown away. Well, it just sort of looks like it might come. Where is it coming from? Everybody says, where's the money coming from we're spending? Well, I don't know, but just offhand, I'd say it's coming from those that have got it, Now, I don't know. That may be just a rough idea of mine. I don't know, but I kind of believe that's where it's coming from. There's one good thing about the American form of government. The fella that's got nothing, he don't pay nothing, And, two, lots of times the fella, he has got something, but, and he ain't got any money to pay, to pay. He's got some, but he ain't got nothing to pay with, pay his taxes with. But he can at least let him have the property back and get an even break, anyhow, But the big yell comes nowadays from the taxpayers, the big taxpayers. I guess I bet you when the Pilgrims landed at Plymouth Rock and they had the whole of the American continent, to themselves, just them and them Pilgrims there, they landed up there, and all they had to do was to get an extra 160 acres was shoot another Indian, Well, I bet you anything they kicked on the price of ammunition, I bet they said, what's this country coming to? You know what I mean? Right, like we're doing now. What's this country coming to? This country coming to that we have to spend a nickel for powder. Of course, they got the lead back after they dissected the Indian. But, no matter, I don't know, it's funny. No matter what we pay, I don't care whether we pay high taxes, low taxes, medium taxes, or no anything. The yell is always the same, 100%. You know what I mean? They just yell 100%. Of course, we know our government is costing us more than it's worth, but do you know of any other cheaper government that's running around now? Do you? If you do, they'll sell you a ticket there anytime. Now, you can try Russia. I was over there. Yeah, you can try Russia. There's no income tax in Russia, but there's no income. Now, Hitler ain't got no sales tax, you know what I mean, but he ain't selling anything. Well, that's fine. Mussolini, you don't have to pay a poll tax to vote in Italy, but nobody votes. So, Well, now, now the whole question is, how can we make such a holler on what the government wants to collect back from us, you know? The thing is, you know, it looks like we can't have everything like we want to, you know? And but the whole question is the government, how much of this money, which we are asked to pay back to them in taxes, have they paid us? You know what I mean? You know, we must have got quite a little divvy of it, some way or another, indirectly, admitting, as everybody does, that the government is the only one spending money, and if they're the only one spending anything, and anything we're getting must come from them. It looks like an endless chain to me, only when it reaches our length, while we don't want to cut any back into the kitty. I don't know what it's all about. This is just a kill time up here till something else comes up. I don't know any more about this thing than an economist does, and God knows he don't know anything. Everything nowadays is just to make talk. Now, but next week, I'm going to present to you my scheme, you know. You see, every man nowadays has got a scheme to bring us out of the wilderness, you know. Well, not so much to bring us out of the wilderness as to bring himself out, I mean, you know. I've been studying the Townsend plan and the Long plan and the Coghlan plan and the Roosevelt plan. Hoover, he broke out with a plan here the other day. And I'm working. Maybe I'll do it next week. I don't know when I get around to it. I'm working on what's called the Rogers plan. You know? Rogers. Yes, sir, the Rogers. Yes, sir, the Rogers plan. Just about 3 more Welsh rabbits every night, and I'll be ready for the Rogers plan. I'm going to have it in shape, you know. Anyhow, don't do anything. Now, don't sign up with any of these other plans. Don't you boys sign up, because I believe I've got a better offer for you than any of them. You know? And don't be too critical of the present plan. You know, if the Roosevelt plan is working for, for as long as we're all living on the loot, why, we can't holler about it, see? But remember now, about next week, I'm going to give you the Rogers plan. I'm just working on a few planks of it there now, and I ain't got it quite in shape. But I don't care what they offer you, I'll do better. You know what I mean? I'll do better. I'll do better. Say, wait a minute. Wait, I got to tell you about the movie that started out. This is what it started out, Susan. Tell you about the movie. You know, they're figuring on watching the legislature, and if they put certain tax on it, say we're going to leave. One gentleman, Mr. Sam Goldwyn, this morning says we're going to England. Where are you going? I'll tell you, I bet you we don't go nowhere. I bet you that we don't go east of Vermont Avenue. We're going. The movies is we're in an industry that kind of depends on the goodwill of the people, and they overlook the biggest thing in all this moving. You can't get much goodwill by dodging taxes, you know, because I don't care where you go, they'll bring you in there, you know, and say, you the boys don't pay anything, you know. But those guys that says you don't pay nothing, they ain't there next year, you know what I mean? They're washed up and gone home somewhere, you know. They ain't going to go. But I don't know where we're going to go. If we go to New Jersey, I can see, here's a scene from New Jersey. You know, you folks on the radio maybe can't see this like my audience here. Here's Miss Greer. Here's an actress playing a scene. Oh, in front of the camera in New Jersey. I love you. Oh. Damn those mosquitoes. I love you. Now, say we go down south. They're talking a good deal about us going down in North and South Carolina somewhere. Well, that's wonderful states. I've been down there a lot in the great old states and all, but naturally the influence of the people would have an effect on you. Now, if we go down in North and South Carolina, I can just see Greta Garbo coming before the screen. You know what I mean? After mixing with all those North and South Carolinians, and I love that dialect and all, and Greta Garbo says, yeah, I sure do love you, doggone. Yes, I sure do love you. I think I'll go home. I ain't gonna mess around here no longer. Oh, yeah, wait, I ain't through. I Goodbye. Next Sunday night, look for the Rogers. Good night.
Thank you, Will, and we'll be waiting for you same time next Sunday. Now, Frank Tours and the orchestra are ready to bring us one of the best of the recent tunes. Take a number from 1 to 10. Now, folks, there's some more good entertainment waiting for you, free for the asking, in the Gulf Funny Weekly. I know you'll enjoy its clever comics and say your kiddies will jump for joy when you bring it home. All you need to do is to drive into the nearest Gulf service station tonight or tomorrow and ask for your copy of this great little paper. But don't delay, because they may be all gone. Notice the back page. There's some live news there about Gulf's handy household aids for spring cleaning. Gulf Spray Insect Killer, Gulf Electric Motor Oil, Gulf Gleam Liquid Gloss for furniture, Gulf Auto Cleaner, and Gulf Auto Wax. Get them from the Gulf service station or your favorite retail store and let them go to work for you. I just drop in to remind you that next Sunday night, Will Rogers will again be the star in the Gulf Headlander Show. This program is brought to you by the Gulf Refining Company, which also brings you that good Gulf gasoline. Columbia Broadcasting System.